Greetings and salutations everybody, welcome to a video I've been wanting to make for a while ever since I walked out of the historic Tampa Theater in downtown Tampa, Florida after seeing Poor Things, being extraordinarily and unexpectedly pleased with what I had seen. Now of course the venue is amazing, but that's for another video one day if I can arrange to get some kind of like footage to cobble together about that theater, but I simply loved Poor Things. I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, I also really got a kick out of a meme or two I'd been seeing going around, like the horror community or horror family, and even from Frankenhooker herself, Patty Mullen, making the humorous comparisons between Poor Things and Frankenhooker. It's all in good fun, nothing hateful or one's better than the other, just poking fun at some comparisons between the two. Now, I had wanted to do a rewatch, particularly of Frankenhooker, because it had been a while. And of course my close personal friend Patty, I mean, look at this, I've got it. She even says, want a date. See? Okay, well, yeah, I know that's kind of like her little line there from Frankenhooker. But anyways, I've been wanting to sit down and rewatch it after seeing Poor Things, once Poor Things is available at home, and kind of, compare them a little bit. I wanted to watch them both closely, as back-to-back as possible, and see how much comparison there really is between these two films. Now, I knew going in there really isn't much, but they are, because they are very, indeed different films, but it'd still be kind of a fun comparison to make and kind of keep them both in mind while watching them. So, let's start with Poor Things from 2023. Now, since this is, the more popular of the two and it is the newest, this one came out in 2023 and stars Willem Dafoe, Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, and Rami Youssef. Great cast, that alone should make somebody want to check this one out. But anyways, the synopsis for this film is as follows. The incredible tale about the fantastical evolution of Bella Baxter, a young woman brought back to life by the brilliant and unorthodox scientist Dr. Godwin Baxter. Now, as a reminder, this will be non-spoiler, so I'll only speak about what was in the trailer or what I'd heard about on the Armchair Expert podcast with Willem Dafoe when he visited, which is where I had actually first heard about this, was him being on Armchair Expert. So this is an interesting one. It's kind of like a Frankenstein-inspired story in that the brain inside this woman, who's played by Stone, is basically that of an infant. So she's learning and growing very quickly, given, this body is already kind of grown up. So we get to see her figure out more words and coordination and understanding and see events kind of told a bit more through her eyes as she's kind of taking everything in. But this goes down a longer road than expected, even compared to the origin of Frankenstein in Mary Shelley's book, where, he's not really like the grunting monster the entire time like he is in the films, but evolves things and has layers in that evolution which are, philosophical in nature. With Bella, she not only evolves as a human and, but in particular as a woman, figuring out her kind of like place in society at the time, as well as through, all the way through how the times were kind of changing as well. This radical, self-reliant feminist feelings as well. So her brain grows not just intellectually, but artistically and philosophically as well. So the core of this story is that, it tries to take you on this journey with her, reminding one of their own milestones growing up and how we evolve and change our ideas and views throughout life. All while adoring Bella almost like we are seeing a child grow up. And of course, with that, we have a great deal of humor to bring in as well, that they just keep kind of sprinkling it all throughout this film. Now, outside of the main story, the artistic style of this film is truly amazing. Some beautiful shots stitched together in ways that are both unexpected, such as like twists in how the architecture and technology is kind of represented on screen of, everything that they had at the time that this is supposed to take place, as well as seamlessly, weaving that in with kind of like a romantic and soothing musical score to go with it. Now, by the time it's all over, all I knew was that I wanted to add this one to my physical media collection on Blu-ray one day, and that I wanted to do that rewatch of Frankenhooker, as it had been a long time since I really sat down to watch it. Even though I'd seen the meme, and some similar shots and everything, I wanted to check it out again, knowing those were just jokes, but to see, honestly, is this like a polar opposite film or really just sharing some very minor similarities? So, for the uninitiated, Frankenhooker from 1990 stars James Lawrence as our kind of like mad scientist kind of character and Patty Mullen as our creation. The synopsis for this being as follows. A medical student sets out to recreate his decapitated fiancée by building her a new body made of Manhattan Street prostitutes. So yeah, not like Poor Things at all, right out of the gate. But let's get into this a little bit. So yes, she gets decapitated and the med student needs body parts to kind of, build her this new body, off he goes to find some hookers and some people he thinks that really won't be missed. By contrast, this one is a total comedy, both in the premise as well as the execution. The entire way that it is set up, even just from the moment it begins, where a lead is doing experiments on a brain attached to an eyeball in his kitchen while attending a birthday party. And then during this birthday party, somebody's presented with this new lawnmower, which is remote controlled, and it accidentally kills his girlfriend, played by Patty Mullen. And from there, it just gets even more strange as he salvages a head and a few other body parts, but needs more parts to kind of find a way to reconstruct her. This is where he starts browsing Manhattan prostitutes for parts, kind of judging them like pieces and developing a new drug that he can kind of put in front of them so they will overdose by exploding from this, and that way he can just kind of cobble up all those pieces. So this large portion of the film is very silly. He's just cruising around in his cheap-looking suit and these very large, nerdy glasses. The film puts a ton of just flamboyant nudity throughout it as well, like a key staple to this type of film to go along with that heavy comedy. So this one is definitely more focused on the mad scientist aspect, the absurdity and the nudity, with a lot of extra comedy being pumped in as his fiancée is reconstructed, but mixing memories of the prostitutes, stumbling around, quoting lines that we heard earlier, and trying to still be a prostitute when she kind of gets out on her own. Of course, now, our lead, he needs to kind of track her down and try to resolve this situation. But we end up getting this really nice and warped twist at the end, which, along with Mullen's comedy in particular in this role, really makes this one a lot of fun. So, of course, the keys to this story is that it's gross, nude, ridiculous, fun. So all in all, very different films between these two. Sure, the meme found some similar shots, and it has that Frankenstein-inspired aspect to both stories, and both involve a woman as the reanimated creation. But honestly, they are very different. Poor Things is better because if you're in the mood for something very dramatic, impactful, gorgeously shot, as almost like a living painting in some ways, dealing with some in-depth views about the self and society and one's place in it, and what just life in general is all about. Well, actually, no, Frankenhooker's better, actually, yeah, because, if you're in the mood for something really strange, grossly kind of shot with strange performances with this unusual premise with guts and nudity and violence and much, much more humor. So I guess really the question is, what is somebody in the mood for? One could argue that what makes a better film could be something silly to just kick back to, forget your troubles. Or a better film could be one with a deep emotional message that's going to kind of stick with you for a long time. So I guess really the biggest difference between these films, which are both good for their own reasons, is what are you in the mood for? And what is it that you really feel is going to be worth checking out? And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this quickest little video here about kind of like the differences between Poor Things and Frankenhooker. What's really the same, what's not, which one might be the better choice for you. It all just really depends. As of right now, as of this video, Poor Things is available on Hulu, and Frankenhooker is available on Shudder as well as Peacock, Criterion. Yeah, that Criterion. They have a Criterion collection for this one. Tubi and AMC Plus, and various other paid services for rental if you're interested in checking either one of these out. Just like you checked out my channel, which I thank you for, and hope that, if not already subscribed, you go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications when I put up new content. Check out some of my back catalog and share everything around. Thanks for coming by, and which movie are you in the mood for? See you next time.